Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 11, at Kaiyang Temple 1. Prisoners, don't deliver food, don't clean cells. What needs to be done on weekdays, apart from interrogating prisoners, is to patrol the cells. Theoretically, jailers do not belong to a certain name alone, but are directly governed by prison history and prison books. What does that mean? This means that from now on, Su Yuxing can expand his own business scope to the entire first floor of Tianlong. There is another sixth-rank practice, cultivation technique, which was delivered to Su Yuxing when the prison guard announced that Su Yuxing had been promoted to be a jailer. With this cultivation technique, Su Yuxing will be able to reasonably explain the origin of his martial Dao strength in the future. Both goals were achieved, and Su Yuxing was in a good mood. Hey, where is Xiaozong? Why isn't Xiaozong here? Before going to Zawalo, someone suddenly said something. Immediately, an old jailer snorted. Who knows, during this period of time he was always on duty but no one was there. Don't worry about him, let's go to ours. The small episode did not affect the mood of everyone drinking flower wine. Instead, Su Yuxing glanced in a certain direction of the dungeon, thoughtful. That night, the guards in the number 5 cell dispersed in Zawalo when they had played in Zawalo, which cost Su Yuxing a full 3 months of salary. Su Yuxing returned to the residence with the smell of alcohol and makeup all over his body. As soon as true qi turned in his body, his mind immediately cleared up. Taking out the cultivation technique sent by Li Yudian, by candlelight, I saw the words on the cover of the cultivation technique, 5 tigers covering the earth. 6th rank. Su Yuxing rolled over, and put it directly under the foot of the bed, turned on the bed, and fell asleep soundly. After all, he could entrust Li Zhondian. So it is better not to practice this cultivation technique. Anyway, it's just a 6th rank. On the second day, Su Yuxing put on clean clothes and went to the E-shaped cell. As soon as he entered the door, several old jailers with dark circles under their eyes and still smelling of alcohol in their mouths greeted him proactively. This is a treatment never seen before. Su Yuxing just completed a small transformation from a jailer to a jailer, and it seems that he has immediately changed from a small transparent person in the sky prison to a person who makes people look high. He didn't feel any arrogance, he still smiled and called uncle when he saw people, but the eyes of the old jailers who had eaten his drink were more affectionate. Became a jailer, except for Shangguan patrolling the prison on weekdays, he didn't even need to participate in the daily appointment. Su Yuxing ran away directly and wandered around the entire first floor of the prison. On the first floor of Tianlao, there are 7 names of A, B, C, D, Wu, Ji, and Zheng, with a total of more than 200 cells. Su Yuxing went to visit each store and distributed the cakes that had been prepared in advance. An old jailer ate cakes and laughed at him behind his back, but he was promoted to a small jailer, and everyone knew about it. Some people thought he was an official. Su Yuxing didn't care. All he wanted was to get acquainted on the first floor of the entire dungeon. All 7 brands know that there is a person like Su Yuxing. After that, he came to help detain a prisoner or something, so it was logical, right? The jailer, in cell number 1, Zheng Yi looked at the lively direction coming from a distance, and sneered, "It's really beautiful, hee." A calm and indifferent voice came from behind. "You came under my Yanhuan sect, not to mention the prison guards. From now on, there is no need to put in one's eyes." Zheng Yi turned his head, across the prison bars, knelt down to the old man who was sitting in the prison at the other end, and kowtowed respectfully, "I'm introspective. My ambition is not here. Don't worry, master, in a few days, when the time is ripe, the apprentice will definitely rescue the master from this prison." As Zheng Yi spoke, deep reverence and gratitude appeared on his face. He once had the ultimate martial Dao talent. If he hadn't met a mentor, he would probably have been depressed and trapped in this small prison for the rest of his life. Like other prison guards, he is happy and worried about the promotion of his petty position. He is a potential dragon, and his future is limitless. You only need to rescue your mentor from the dungeon, and return to Liansheng sect with your mentor when the time comes. Rivers and lakes are so big, the sky is high and the sea is wide, isn't it because of him? Zheng Yi was looking forward to an infinitely better future, but he didn't see the pale old man sitting in front of him and being worshipped by him. At this moment, she was looking at him with sarcasm in her eyes, like looking at a ridiculous and clumsy ant. Quote. The bandit in Longzong, who specializes in killing passing merchants, is said to be a traitor to Kaiyang Temple. Being caught by Tu Mozi, the bones are really hard. After several rounds of the 18th criminal law, he is still alive and kicking. Two guards escorted a big bald man in shackles, talking to Su Yuxing while walking towards the cell. Hearing a few people's conversation, the big man turned his face halfway, laughed and said, I thought the Dayu prison was terrifying, but I never thought it would be as good as Tu Mosi's prison. Today's punishment is too light for my uncle to tickle, you guys have to work harder tomorrow. The two guards looked ugly, and kicked the big man's legs twice, cursing and drinking loudly. Su Yuxing was watching from the side, his pupils gleaming slightly. This man practiced martial arts all over his body, making him invulnerable to swords and guns, water and fire. It is said that during the torture, several iron rods with thick fists were broken. This kind of body care cultivation technique makes Su Yuxing really greedy. This guy is not from their brand, but a prisoner from a cell of Class A. Su Yuxing came here to hardly rub. Soon the man was sent to the cell, and as the cell door was locked, Su Yuxing got his wish and added another page to the Sin in Prison Classic. Prisoner. Shu Kuishan. Sin points. 3 stars. Strength. Qi gathering 8th stage. Status. In custody. Capture participation. 1%. Benefit. 25 experience points per hour. Su Yuxing casually clicked on Shu Kuishan's crime and glanced at it. Good guy, he does all sorts of crimes, rape and robbery, and even likes to eat human flesh. He likes to eat the flesh and blood of young women and children. It turned out to be an ogre. Su Yuxing shook his head and closed the Sutra of Sin and Prison. The prisoners in the dungeon had seen more crimes, and his tolerance for cruel scenes had also increased. No matter how disgusting things were, he wouldn't feel like throwing up anymore. Counting this Shu Kuishan, Su Yuxing's busy work on the first floor of Tianlong today can be regarded as fruitful. A total of 1 prisoner in Qi Gathering Realm, 2 prisoners in Pulse Condensation Realm, and several prisoners in Body Tempering were included. Adding it all up, the experience value gained per hour will increase by 55 points. What a cool word. Chapter 12. The next day, Su Yuxing continued to busy. There are 7 shops on the first floor of the Sky Prison. If any prisoner comes in, and any prisoner needs to be interrogated, he will mix in. Others only thought that he had just been promoted to a jailer and was eager to perform meritorious service. Although he was bored, he couldn't say much. Su Yuxing doesn't care about many things, he does his own way. After half a month, the entire first floor of the dungeon, the hard bones, with names and surnames, were included by him in 7s and 80s. The daily experience value gain also officially broke through the 2000 mark. Call. In his personal residence, Su Yuxing slowly let out a foul breath. When he moved his hands and feet a little, a series of slight crisp sounds came from his body immediately. At this time, the true qi in his body has grown from the size of a hair to the thickness of a little finger, and it is dozens of times stronger than before. Congealing Pulse 7th stage. Su Yuxing got up, pulled out the saber resting on the edge of the bed, and slashed out. Ah! A white light flashed on the knife, and the wind from the knife blew, and the black wooden square table in front of him, which was more than 2 meters away, split into 2 silently. There was also a clearly visible deep knife mark on the bluestone brick floor under the table. Cooperate with Saber Technique Human Slaughter, who can be my opponent in the territory of Ningmei. Su Yuxing was holding a long knife in his hands, full of vigor. But a few seconds later, he obediently put away the long knife again, restraining his momentum completely. Invincible at the Pulse Condensation Realm is a piece of shit. Still have to keep going. No matter what, I have to get an innate great master, so I dare to take a breather. Because the most powerful person Su Yuxing has ever seen is Yan Huan from the 9th stage. If you want to suppress that old demon Yan Huan, you must innate Grandmaster realm. Work and work. Su Yuxing tidied up a bit and walked out of the room. The Sky Prison is my home, and the safety depends on everyone. The prisoners here are all talents, they speak nicely, and they like staying in prison the most. In the past half a month, except for a few civil criminals, not a single person was dragged out to be executed. Su Yuxing was envious of Shu Kuishan, who had practiced kung fu for many days, and hoped that he would return to the West soon, but the dead bald head was still firm, but he refused to admit his crime and be executed. But it is estimated that soon, Tumosi and the jailer are not so patient. After a long time, the ones who should be pressed are about the same, and the ones that cannot be asked are really hard to ask, so you should die or you have to die. Su Yuxing walked to the dining area of the E-shaped prison, and before he reached the rest area, he saw a cell door, and someone was looking into the corridor with his head probed. How did the cell door open? Surprised, Su Yuxing flew over in a hurry. Taking a closer look, it was the veteran of the Wuzhihao, Zhao Shilin, a member of the Ministry of Industry who had committed corruption. Hey, brother Su. When Zhao Shilin saw Su Yuxing, he called out before he could speak. Crazy, one of your jailers is crazy. Open all the doors of the cell, and chop anyone you see, but fortunately, the little old man shrank quickly when he saw the situation, otherwise. Zhao Shilin rambled on, his face full of lingering fear. Su Yuxing was shocked. The jailer went crazy, let the prisoner go, and killed people indiscriminately. Subconsciously, Zheng Yi's gloomy face appeared in his mind. Hastily checked the left and right cells. As Zhao Shilin said, all the prison doors were opened. The inmates in the prison were also missing. Su Yuxing's face was slightly condensed, and he said to Zhao Shilin in front of him, Master Zhao, you have behaved well this time, I will mention it to the prison department later, and I should give you a pennant of 3 good prisoners. Ah! Zhao Shilin was stunned by Su Yuxing's words, blinked his eyes, and shouted, Little old man, this is smart, a madman kills people, isn't he going to die if he runs out? Those idiots can't see clearly. Oh, by the way, Xiao Su, I don't want a pennant, just add a chicken leg later. Little Su. It's a pity that Su Yuxing has long gone. Su Yuxing rotated the Qinggong of floating light and shadow slightly, and flew in the tunnel of the prison. Along the way, I saw that the doors of the E-shaped cells on both sides were all wide open, some of the cells were empty and some were occupied. Arriving at the resting area of the E-shaped prison guards, I suddenly smelled a strong smell of blood, accompanied by a few screams. Su Yuxing's heart sank, and he rushed into the rest area quickly. As soon as he entered the door, he saw dead bodies all over the floor. There are prisoners and there are jailers. A dead body was lying at Su Yuxing's feet, its eyes were round and fixed on Su Yuxing. Li San, the old jailer who led Su Yuxing into the post and has always taken good care of him, died. Another one to die. Someone in the room sneered. Su Yuxing looked up and saw 3 prisoners holding long knives and looking at him with ferocious faces. The person who spoke first was a burly man with a scar on his face. This person was known to Su Yuxing, and he was also one of the prisoners in the E-shaped cell. Before he was imprisoned, he was still an 8th-rank military officer. He had just been thrown into the prison for a few days because of rape and murder after being drunk. You guys take good care of me on weekdays, but today I have to repay you well. The prisoner grinned grinningly, and rushed towards Su Yuxing with a tiger pounce. But before he jumped in front of Su Yuxing, a knife flashed across his face. Ah! Gulu gulu. Blood splattered, and a large human head rolled to the ground, with an expression of surprise that was unexpected before dying on his face. Pooh! Su Yuxing spat at the corpse, wiped the blood splattered on his face, and there was no wavering in his heart. He condenses the pulse of the 7th stage, and has the 4th-rank human butcher knife in his hand. Even in their heyday, these armed criminals may not be able to take him down, let alone now that they have just broken free from the shackles and their vitality has not recovered. Is he really as easy to deal with as those old jailers who gamble, drink and dawdle every day? Court death. In my mind, I opened the Sutra of Sin and Prison, and on a certain page, the handwriting disappeared, and instead there was a reminder of 3 more chances to draw a lottery. 3 times. Su Yuxing was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't have time to study at this time, and continued to look at the remaining 2 people in the cell. These 2 prisoners are also military criminals, but their strength is not as good as that of the military officer. Seeing that Su Yuxing beheaded their leader with a single knife, his guts had already been exhausted. At this time, Su Yuxing was looking at Su Yuxing with horror on his face, and he kept shrinking towards the corner of the wall. Su Yuxing wasn't polite to them either, he jumped on each of them and killed them all. These few people have seen him make a move, and none of them can survive. After killing the fugitives, Su Yuxing looked at the room full of corpses, and slowly put the blood-stained long knife back into the scabbard. Uncle Li, Uncle Wu, Uncle Zhang. In the past, one of the old prison guards called Uncle Su Yuxing died, and all of them were killed by several prisoners. Su Yuxing looked at the bodies of several people, feeling a little sad in his heart. If he hadn't been strong, he might have gone with these old jailers in this turmoil. Jailer. On weekdays, it is very happy to look at the aloof and kill the prisoners. But once something goes wrong, they will die the fastest. Human life is worthless. In this world, after all, strength is paramount. Chapter 13. Su Yuxing opened the Sutra of Sin and Prison, and saw 3 pages, each of which had 3 lucky draw chances. Killing a prisoner with your own hands will give you 2 more chances to draw a lottery than dragging him out for questioning. If the prisoner hadn't escaped this time, Su Yuxing would not have known the secret. He didn't delay, and directly turned to one of the pages to start the lottery draw. Light balls poured out, and the biggest one was drawn by Su Yuxing. The Great Bull Demon Fist, 7th grade, reaching the peak 243 1/1000ths. In an instant, countless memory images merged into Su Yuxing's mind. In the screen, Su Yuxing seems to be a small school in armor, practicing fist technique hard, cold and hot. When all the pictures disappeared, Su Yuxing only felt a strong force pouring into his arms. The strength of his left and right arms was a few thousand caddies out of thin air. 7th grade fist technique, majoring in brute force. Su Yuxing shook his head. It was better than nothing. It just so happens that he doesn't have the means to fight the enemy with bare hands, so this fist technique is still useful. Followed by another pump. This time it's not martial arts, but 2000 experience points. Cultivation base. Thinking about it carefully, this military criminal who was killed by him had only a few pulses of strength before he was imprisoned. If he didn't have an official position, he wouldn't be able to enter the prison. With average strength, the only thing he can take out is a 7th rank fist technique. It is not bad to be able to extract some experience points. Fortunately, he also lacks experience. Of the 9 lucky draw chances, Su Yuxing didn't keep one, and all of them were drawn. In the end, I got a 7th rank fist technique, a 7th rank saber technique, and an 8th rank palm technique. Experience. Add up to a full 8000. Increase strength in one breath, break through a small realm on the spot, and reach 8th stage of congealing pulse. After the lottery was drawn, Su Yuxing didn't go out, and continued to wait in the room. He is only a small prison guard, and there will naturally be someone to clean up the turmoil outside. After waiting for about an hour, someone walked in. Oh, they're still alive. Su Yuxing looked up and saw a person standing at the door looking at him in surprise. Look at dressing up. It's a man from Tumosi. Prisoner Su Yuxing, I have met your lord. Su Yuxing stood up and saluted the other party. There was silence for a while, and then he said in a low voice, the prisoner of number 5 escaped and attacked and killed the prison cell. We fought hard and killed all the prisoners. Luckily, they did not disgrace their lives. Su Yuxing was depressed, acting as if his colleagues were dead, and he was lucky enough to survive, in a state of despair. Actually is not completely pretended. Li San and others died, he really had some sadness in it. The little official of the Tumo division stared at him for a while, then slowly nodded and said, you did a good job. The imperial court will pay compensation to those who died this time. After speaking, he turned and left without taking another look into the room. Nothing fancy either. The corpses of prisoners and jailers were all over the place, and only Su Yuxing was left. With a little brainstorming, you can roughly guess what happened here before. Su Yuxing breathed a sigh of relief. This level is over, let's start cleaning the room quickly. After he collected all the corpses, he took another look at the Book of Sin and Prison, and found that there were a few pages missing for the prisoners included in Book of Sin and Prison, and each left a chance for a lucky draw. Just little people of no importance. This turmoil lasted for several hours, and then completely subsided. Su Yuxing was lucky to survive the turmoil. His mind was shaken, and he was allowed to go home and rest early. In Yujing City, somewhere is a small courtyard wrapped in white cloth and hanging with elegiac couplets. Su Yuxing, who was dressed in black, and several guards came out of the yard with the sound of wailing and Suona all over the floor. Why? One person sighed, poor old Lian Wu. Once they leave, life at home will be difficult in the future. The imperial court issued a pension, and if we help, life will not be too miserable. Pension. HMPH. God knows how much money you will have when you get it, those. Hush, at the foot of the imperial city, be careful with your words. Several people immediately shut up, and seeing Su Yuxing, who had been bowing his head and keeping silent beside him, turned the conversation away. Xiao Su, you are lucky this time. An old jailer patted Su Yuxing on the shoulder and sighed. The other two also followed suit. Yeah, if you survive a catastrophe, you must have a future blessing. Having said that, who would have thought that that boy Zheng Yi would commit such a shocking case? Quote. Isn't he bewitched by prisoner Nawu number 1? Zheng Yi is also ruthless enough, even Li Yudian was slaughtered by him. Quote. I heard that Zheng Yi got the number 1 Liansheng Laomo's infusion, and in less than a month, Marshal Dao's strength soared to the qi-gathering state. When he was captured, several people from Tu Mozi almost missed him. In the end, Shengguan personally took action and beheaded him on the spot. Quote. It's a good death. It's nothing more than helping the old devil escape from prison. Before he left, he released the fugitive prisoner. Isn't this intentional murder of his colleagues? Really? Su Yuxing was at the side, silently listening to the conversation of several old guards. At this time, 2 days had passed since the turmoil, and the cause of the incident was also found out. It was Yan Huan from number 1 who provoked him. The jailer was once easily bewitched by him, and secretly practiced the evil magic skills taught by Liansheng in order to help Yan Huan escape from prison. It's a pity that before he walked out of the first floor of the prison, he was caught by Tu Mozi, who had been in ambush for a long time. Zheng Yi died, and the old devil Yan Huan was also pushed into the lower level of the dungeon. It is said, just said, Tu Mozi deliberately placed Yan Huan on the first floor of the prison, originally thinking that he could attract people from the Liansheng sect to rob the prison and rescue him, and catch a few big fish. It's a pity that the plan failed, and a group of unlucky jailers died for no reason. Even Li Zhondian, who had made a deal with Su Yuxing, died in the turmoil of the old devil's prison escape. Perhaps in the eyes of Tu Mozi, the death of a few jailers is not a loss at all. Su Yuxing thought to himself, said hello to several old guards, and went back alone. Although he was lucky to survive the turmoil, but it also has a deeper understanding of the importance of strength. Can survive this time, what about next time? Entrust your life to others, and God knows when you will be a victim in a daze. You still have to have stronger self-protection power. Chapter 14. Why wasn't old devil Yan Huan slaughtered on the spot by Tu Mozi? Su Yuxing was thinking while clicking on the Book of Sin and Prison. Although the 60 experience points provided by Yan Huan every hour are worth a lot, compared to what this old devil has learned all over his body. Or the latter is more attractive. Su Yuxing would rather exchange Yan Huan's head for a chance to draw a lottery. Boom. With the addition of experience points, the true qi in Su Yuxing's body instantly soared to the thickness of a thumb. Thanks to the death of several prisoners in the prison scripture, he rushed to the 9th stage of congealing pulse in one breath. Wait another 5 days, and you will be able to advance to qi gathering. Su Yuxing calculated the experience points and came to this result. Calculating the time, I have only been in the dungeon for more than a month, and I have transformed from a powerless scholar with tuberculosis to a young master of martial Dao who is about to gather energy. Sometimes when I think about it, it's like a lifetime away. From 9th stage to qi gathering 1st stage, you need 10,000 experience points. From qi gathering 1st stage to qi gathering 2nd stage, it must cost 20,000. In this way, to complete the cultivation of the entire qi gathering realm, I need at least. Su Yuxing made a little calculation and came up with a result. 9 months, even longer, or maybe less. Who knows if the performance will get better in the future. 9 months is a long time, hey. Su Yuxing couldn't help sighing. If others know, it only takes 9 months for him to cross the entire qi gathering realm, which is too long. It is estimated that he would have to jump up and slap his mouth severely with the sole of his shoe. How many warriors may not be able to complete the qi gathering 9th stage in their poor lives? Is 9 months too long? Pretending to be your mother. The road is long and long, the responsibilities are heavy and the road is long, sleep. I hope that when I wake up tomorrow, there will be 100 prisoners from cultivation base like Yan Huan waiting for me to be imprisoned. Quote. Su Yuxing silently made a small wish in his heart, and then went to bed. The turmoil caused by Yan Huan gradually subsided as he was transferred to the lower prison. In this turmoil, more than 30 jailers died in the entire first floor of the prison. There were all kinds of fonts, mainly concentrated in Wuxi. The prison guards of the E brand have undergone a big change. In addition to some jailers who were transferred from other places, there were a few others who were promoted by the men of the dead jailers. Su Yuxing is not the youngest and the least senior in the Wuzhihao. There were also young guards who followed behind him, yelling, "Brother Su," one after another. Su Yuxing wandered around with 7 names as usual. Wherever there is a prisoner, there is his shadow. Time flies by like running water, and in the blink of an eye, more than half a year has passed. Prisoner number 8 Shu Kuishan. Bang bang bang. The jailer with the food box in his hand knocked hard on the bars with his scabbard, and shouted at the prisoners inside, "It's time to eat the decapitated meal." In the dark place of the cell, a Taoist figure slowly climbed out. Climbing to the prison door, facing the faint light from the torches in the corridor, he revealed a haggard, numb and confused face. The man used the 3 fingers on his remaining hand to open the food box, staring at the roast chicken and wine inside for a long time in a daze. Then suddenly started gobbling. "I haven't seen meat for a long time, and I ate too much." After not eating for a while, the man started to cough violently, and he vomited up the wine and meat that he had just eaten in his stomach, making a mess all over the place. The jailer who delivered the food couldn't bear the sour smell in the air, so he spit, turned around and left quickly. Neither the prisoners who were eating nor the jailer who delivered the food were seen. In a certain shadow not far from this cell, there stood a handsome and tall young jailer. Su Yuxing. Su Yuxing looked at Shu Kuishan, who was eating and vomiting and wanting to eat, and couldn't help showing a trace of emotion in his eyes. He still remembers what Shu Kuishan looked like when he was first imprisoned. With a hulking back, a voice like a bell, and a mouth full of yellow teeth as sharp as knives, he is a fierce and strong man with strong bones. But now, it has been described as haggard and completely out of shape. A man who is more than 9 feet tall may have no flesh in his whole body. It is conceivable what has happened in the past half a year. It's really awesome. The punishment room has to serve him almost every 2 days. Either he is being punished, or he is on the way to be punished. He survived like this for 7 full months and still hasn't died. He is indeed a peerless hunk who likes to eat people. Quote. Su Yuxing felt that it was not easy for him. He has been obsessed with Shu Kuishan's kung fu practice for more than half a year, and he is about to be promoted and transformed into an ordinary person, so he is going to kill this guy. By tomorrow, I will be able to challenge the transformation, and I can draw a prize on Shu Kuishan. Tomorrow is really a good day. Su Yuxing was in a good mood, and after looking at Shu Kuishan for a while, he planned to leave. As a result, I just walked out a few steps. There was a sudden change in the Sin and Prison Sutra in his mind. He clicked on it and found that the content on the page belonging to Shu Kuishan had disappeared, leaving only one lottery draw. Su Yuxing froze for a moment, then turned back. From a distance, I saw a Taoist figure crouching at the prison gate, motionless. There are scattered food boxes and vomit all over the floor. Su Yuxing went up to check his breath, and quickly stood up with a complicated face. This Shu Kuishan, he died just like that. And it seems to have choked to death on food. During life, he liked to eat people, but died of choking. Before I die, I can't even enjoy the last bite of delicious food, and the karmic retribution is on my mouth, and it can be regarded as repayment. Su Yuxing was sure that Shu Kuishan was dead, so he didn't care about him. Anyway, sooner or later, the jailer would find out and clean up. He quickly returned to his own residence and couldn't wait to start the lottery draw. He had waited too long for this moment. Is it extracted? Yes. Accompanied by Su Yuxing's decision, a large number of light clusters poured out. Among them, the largest, crimson in color and shaped like fire, was drawn by him. In an instant, countless memory images flooded into Su Yuxing's mind. In the picture, Su Yuxing is bald and naked, first standing surrounded by countless coals, the heat is unbearable, and there are countless blisters on his body. In an instant, the burning coals around my body turned into a raging fire again, and the pain went up to a higher level. After all the memory images disappeared, Su Yuxing woke up and found that he was dripping with sweat and his entire blouse was completely soaked. Look at the harvest of this draw. The Balrog, 3rd rank, the 4th floor, 305 3,000ths. Su Yuxing got what she wanted. Finally, Shu Kuishan's most valuable horizontal martial arts was drawn. The golden body of the Balrog. 3rd rank. So far, Su Yuxing has acquired the highest level of martial arts. Unlike martial arts, this golden body of the Balrog is the same as the cultivation technique. There is no division of the 5 major realms, and the level is calculated entirely according to the number of layers of the cultivation technique. The Balrog golden body has a total of 9 layers. Shu Kuishan only practiced this cultivation technique to the 4th layer. Then he was able to endure 7 months of criminal torture without dying. It shows the tyranny of this cultivation technique. As expected of one of Kaiyang Temple's Zhensi martial arts. Chapter 15. Although Kaiyang Temple is not comparable to the Liansheng sect, it is also a well-known sect of Zhengdao. It is said that there are many eminent monks from Kaiyang Temple in the Deu Demon Slaying Division, who are very good at dealing with demons and ghosts. The golden body of the flame demon was created from the body of the ancient flame magic. It is said that after training to the 9th level, the martial body is as powerful as the ancient flame magic. It also contains infinite fire, and every move can make the ground 1,000 miles red. Quote. These words come from Shu Kuishan's memory. But even for Kaiyang Temple itself, no one has trained the Blaze Demon Golden Body to the 9th level of realm in the past dynasties. Therefore, no one knows whether the description of the peak realm in the Balrog Golden Body is true or not. It's okay, when I reach the 9th floor, I will know whether the ancient flame demon body is real or not. Su Yuxing said to himself. His practice is all based on experience points, and there is no bottleneck at all. As long as you go, step by step, you will be able to practice the golden body of the Balrog to the 9th floor sooner or later. Not to mention the 9th floor, the effect of the 4th floor is already quite impressive. Su Yuxing checked himself. He who has completely inherited the 4th layer of Shu Kuishan's golden body of the Balrog, at this time at least activates true qi slightly, and the skin all over his body will show a touch of red. A slash on the body did not leave a white mark, and there was a crisp sound of clanking, like swords clashing. 2 more cuts, even the blade was collapsed. Invulnerability. Anti-shock hurts the enemy. Su Yuxing's eyes lit up. Then he quickly discovered that his own strength also skyrocketed by tens of thousands of caddies. Without using true qi, just punch the air at will, and directly hit white circles of air waves visible to the naked eye in the air. It's really scary, if this punch hits someone. I'm afraid that even a martial artist in the qi gathering realm will be beaten to pieces on the spot. Quote. In addition, Blaze also has a good bonus effect on true qi. Su Yuxing urged true qi to slap a palm in the air. The red glow in the palm flickered, the wind from the palm was scorching hot, and the hot wind blew up. This palm was lightly imprinted on the stone brick, leaving a clearly visible charred palm print on the surface of the stone brick immediately. There is a raging firepower in my palm. Su Yuxing was surprised and delighted. This is not bad. If you fight against people in the future, if you hit them with one palm, wouldn't you be familiar with them directly? Su Yuxing conducted various experiments, and finally determined that the golden body of the Balrog is not comparable to ordinary horizontal martial arts. It increases the practitioner's defense, strength, true qi, speed, almost all aspects. It is worthy of being ranked 3rd rank of the martial arts. The more Su Yuxing used it, the more he felt the extraordinariness of the Balrog golden body. He couldn't hold back all of a sudden, and used experience points to make up for the remaining experience on the 4th floor of the Balrog golden body. Suddenly, his body trembled, a lot of dirt washed out from the surface of his skin, and his strength went up to a higher level. The Balrog golden body, the 5th floor. Upgrading to the 6th floor only requires 10,000 experience points, not much. After you've been promoted to Metamorphosis, you'll need to accumulate some experience to make a run for it. Quote. At this time, Su Yuxing is only a few thousand experience points away from being promoted to the Mortal Transformation realm, and he can break through by waiting at most one more day. In the past 7 months, almost all of Su Yuxing's experience points have been invested in cultivation base. The results are also gratifying. Su Yuxing of Qi Gathering 9th stage, the true Qi in his body has already been filled with extraordinary meridians, like a big river. Compared with 7 months ago, the difference between clouds and mud. In terms of martial arts, there is not much progress, but the human butcher knife has rushed to the 4th level, which is superb. Floating light, Qinggong is also a superb realm. Then I learned a lot of saber technique, sword technique, palm technique, fist technique, leg technique of 5, 6, 7 and 8 grades, which is not worth mentioning. Among them, the only one that is useful to Su Yuxing is probably a secret method called Breaking Breath Ju. He got this secret method from an evil Taoist from the 3 sacred gates. Don't listen to the imposing name of Sanshengmen, in fact, it is full of people of 3 religions and 9 streams. For example, prostitutes, traffickers, beggars, flower pickers and so on. This evil Taoist is an important leader of the Sanshengmen. He usually pretends to be a wandering Taoist priest to tell fortunes for others, but secretly he specializes in rape, robbery, murder and robbery. It was so bad to the bone, so bad that there were sores and pus. The people of 2 Magic Division tracked him down for several years, but he escaped repeatedly. It can be regarded as an opportunity to catch him and lay a net to arrest him and bring him to justice. In the end, it turned out that his strength was only mere consolidating pulse 1st stage. Relying on the ability to make up to change his appearance and shrink his bones to restrain his breath, he evaded being hunted down. This guy is cunning and black-hearted, but his bones are not very strong. After being sent to the prison for 3 days, he recruited everyone he could. Then it was directly dragged out and wiped. Su Yuxing was lucky, and through the Sin and Prison Sutra, he got the most valuable secret technique of breath restraint from this person, which is the breath restraint formula. The effect of containing breath Ju is to hide breath and cultivation base. The former complements Qinggong in floating light and glimpse, and complements each other perfectly. The latter can make ordinary people unable to see through your real martial Tao strength. The evil Taoist usually uses this secret technique to play tricks in front of people, pretending to be an outsider, but in the hands of Su Yuxing, it is just used to hide his strength. If it weren't for this secret technique, Su Yuxing possesses the strength of the 9th stage of Qi Gathering, true Qi is like a tide, and the light is overflowing. How can he hide from the master of the Demon Slayer who has been in and out of the 1st floor of the dungeon for more than half a year? Now Su Yuxing can be regarded as a veteran jailer, and he has already made the whole dungeon as transparent as his own back garden. There are 7 shops on the 1st floor of the prison, more than 200 cells, and about 100 prisoners, nearly 80% of which are included in his Sin and Prison Sutra. Every day, you can get 7 or 8,000 experience points. Otherwise, how can you accumulate enough experience to hit the mortal state 2 full months earlier? On the 2nd day after Su Yuxing got the golden body of the Balrog, he took a leave of absence from the new prison officer and concentrated on preparing for the transformation at home. Of course, the so-called impact on the Transcendence realm is nothing more than experience points, give me more. Add it. Full quote. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.